Hello everyone, welcome back to episode 6. So today we're gonna talk about Genesis 1 verse 6. Vayomer Elohim yehi rakia betoch hamayim vihi mavdil bein mayim lamayim. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide between water and water. So the Zohar turns its attention to Genesis 1 verse 6. It sees far more than a mere description of physical phenomena. This verse, introducing the second day of creation, portrays the divine act of establishing a firmament or expanse that separates waters above from waters below. So in the Zohar's interpretation, the verse encodes a multitude of spiritual processes, the arrangement of Sephirot, the definition of upper and lower worlds, the dynamic of judgment and restriction, and the emergence of cosmic balance. So today we're gonna explore how these grounded in themes that the Zohar and subsequent Kabbalistic tradition draw forth from these words. So first we have the context of the second day, separation and judgment. Before focusing on the firmament, it helps to notice that Genesis 1 verse 6 marks the second day of creation. So the Zohar highlights certain features unique to this day. No kitov. Unlike other creation days, day 2 does not contain the phrase kitov. In English means it was good. So many Zoharic passages explain that this omission hints at incomplete work, separation alone, without subsequent unification, is not by itself fully good. So here we can see the attribute of Geburah, or in English, might or judgment. In Kabbalistic tradition, each day of creation corresponds to one of the Sephirot, or aspects of the divine flow. Day 1 correlates primarily with Chesed, which is loving kindness, and the revelation of light, while day 2 introduces Geburah, the principle that divides, defines, and establishes boundaries. The name Elohim, associated with divine judgment, appears continually here, highlighting the restrictive power that shapes creation by separating one realm from another. Thus, the second day is all about distinguishing and setting limits. A key theme in let there be a firmament and let it divide between the waters. Next we have Vayomer Elohim, creation by divine speech. As with all the creation acts in Genesis 1, verse 6 begins with, and God said, Vayomer Elohim. For the Zohar, divine speech is a potent metaphor. It's a speech and emanation. Speech, in Hebrew, dibur, in Kabbalah often correlates with the Sephirah Malkuth, kingdom, where potential divine energy becomes articulated into a distinct form. Even though the second day highlights Geburah, the speech itself funnels through the lower Sephirah of Malkuth, the mouth of the upper attributes, making the decree real within creation. And the divine speech is also a potent metaphor for constraining the infinite. The name Elohim underscores that the speech is measured, establishing boundaries. If the infinite flow poured out without restriction, the worlds could not emerge as separate entities. They would be reabsorbed into undifferentiated infinity. Thus, Vayomer Elohim in verse 6 signals the next stage of structured emanation. So next word we have Yehi Rakia, let there be a firmament, the cosmic expanse. The meaning of Rakia in Zoharic thought, the Hebrew word Rakia, usually translated firmament or expanse, suggests something spread out or beaten thin. The Zoharic commentary delves into multiple levels of meaning. First, as an intermediate realm, the Zohar views the Rakia as an intervening layer that stands between upper and lower spiritual energies. Just as a physical firmament was imagined to separate earthly waters from atmospheric or heavenly waters, so the Rakia mystically functions to partition different levels of divine influx. Channel of transition. Some Kabbalistic texts identify the Rakia with certain Sefirot or with the Parsa. In English, it's like a curtain-like barrier. So this modulates how light flows downward. It ensures that the intense spiritual energies from the higher realms do not overwhelm the lower worlds. So another meaning, this can be seen as a cosmic mirror. So later expansions on the Zohar sometimes call the Rakia a mirror that reflects spiritual lights to the lower realms. In this sense, it is not a dead barrier, but a dynamic interface for the interplay between God's concealed reality and creation's manifest dimensions. So association with Tiferet or Da'at from the Tree of Life. Various schools of Kabbalah interpret the Rakia in slightly different ways. In some commentaries, as a Tiferet, the Rakia can represent Tiferet, in English beauty, the central Sephirah that harmonizes Chesed and Geburah, serving as the sky or firmament in the system of emanation. Da'at, in other lines of thought, the Rakia is linked with Da'at, knowledge, sometimes described as the bridge or expanse between the intellectual Sephirot, Chokhmah and Binah, and the emotive Sephirot. Da'at stands in the midst of the waters of consciousness, separating the supernal wellspring from the manifested forms of thought and emotion. Regardless of the precise alignment, the unifying theme is that the Rakia is a separating yet connecting structure in the cosmic chain, enabling lower worlds to receive from above without being dissolved back into oneness. Next we have the Betoch Hamayim, in the midst of the waters. So the symbolism of waters in Kabbalah, waters, or in Hebrew is called Mayim, appear repeatedly in Genesis 1, from the primordial Tohu Vavohu swirl to the dividing seas. For the Zohar, waters can signify supernal waters, a term describing the higher or spiritual realms, often connected to Binah, known as the supernal mother, from which flows the nurturing essence of divine understanding and blessing. Lower waters, the more physical or manifest aspects of creation, ranging from the emotional, astral realms to the actual earthly oceans. The lower waters also yearn to reunite with their source, echoing a cosmic drama of separation and longing. So next we have the firmament role in the midst of waters. By placing the rakia in the midst of the waters, God inserts a definitive boundary, vertical axis. This act differentiates an above and a below in the cosmic waters, reflecting the Zoharic principle that creation emerges through hierarchical layers, from the highest, most refined waters of spiritual influx down to the tangible waters in the lower realms. Meditation. The rakia ensures that the two waters do not blend into one chaotic mass. Instead, each has a distinct function. The upper waters remain more sublime, while the lower waters become the foundation for earthly life. Parallel to the soul. In the microcosm of a human being, the firmament in the midst of the waters can symbolize the mind and heart boundary or another internal partition, ensuring that higher spiritual awareness does not drown in the tumultuous waters of worldly desire and vice versa. Next we have Vehi'i mafdil bein mayim el mayim, that it may separate between water and water. The sacred act of separation. One of the signature themes of the second day is Vehi'i mafdil, the principle of separation. The Zohar points out that creation through distinctions. The word mafdil means separating, underscores that the cosmos arises not only through unity, but also through differentiation. While day 1 introduces the oneness of light, day 2 stresses that boundaries are necessary to shape a functional creation. The Zohar also points out that Gebura at work. As noted, the attribute of Gebura exerts a dividing force, establishing lines that demarcate the supernal from the earthly. This is an act of judgment or restriction, giving each water its proper domain. The yearning of the lower waters, a key motif in Zoharic and later Kabbalistic writings, is that the lower waters weep or yearn because they have been separated from their supernal root. This longing is poetically referred to as the water's cry. Tears of the lower waters. The lower aspect feels that the separation keenly, desiring to be reunited with the upper waters. This sets a cosmic pattern. everything in the lower realms longs to ascend or be uplifted, while the upper realms graciously emanate energy downward. Human role. Humanity, through righteous deeds, prayer, and mitzvot, can elevate aspects of the lower world back toward their divine source, soothing the tears of separation. Even the waters below have a spiritual dimension waiting to be redeemed. So the Zoharic perspectives on why day 2 lacks kitov, which means it was good. So whereas day 1, light, and days 3 to 6, each contain kitov, which means it was good, day 2 is missing this. Separation as incomplete. The Zohar often states that goodness, tov, arises from harmony or unity. On day 2, we see primarily division, since the separation is not yet integrated into a final positive harmony. The text withholds the phrase, "it was good." Completion on day 3. The Zohar reads day 3 as the day when further clarifications and gathering of waters occur, culminating in the appearance of dry land and vegetation. Only then does the cosmic structure for life become stable. So day 3 is doubly good. Rectifying the din. Because Gebura or judgment is introduced here, the day has a measure of sternness. The goodness appears once that strict separation is channeled into constructive ends, which happen on subsequent days. So here we have the Sephirotic drama of the second day. Alignment with Gebura. Many Zoharic commentators see the second day as dominated by the force of Gebura, strength, restriction, boundary. Gebura's function, by separating Gebura, fosters structure. Though it may appear harsh, it is essential for preventing a chaotic intermingling of energies that would undo creation. So no evil in Gebura. The Zohar clarifies that Gebura in its pure form is not evil, but an attribute of holiness. It ensures that the infinite Chesed does not flood existence. Only an unbalanced or excessive Gebura yields negative results, often called the left side or the other side. So balancing with Hesed. Though day 2 focuses on separation, the Zohar keeps in mind the principle that Chesed, from day 1, underlies the entire creative process. First is a hidden kindness. Even as the verse describes a dividing firmament, the Zohar discerns that God's compassion quietly undergirds these acts. The firmament itself is an expression of love, for it protects the lower realms from direct, overwhelming confrontation with the supernal realms. So this is also a movement toward unity. Eventually, the cosmic drama aims to reunite upper and lower in a refined way. The second day separation is only a stage. The story is incomplete until day 3 and onward, when new forms of unity arise. So the personal and spiritual applications. First, we have the let there be a firmament in our midst. On a personal level, the Zohar's interpretation of Genesis 1 verse 6 can guide us in understanding inner boundaries. First, as a healthy separation. Just as the Rakia keeps distinct realms from chaotic fusion, each soul needs boundaries between the spiritual and the mundane, between higher aspiration and base impulses. Healthy separation helps us cultivate clarity and order in spiritual practice. Second, as bridging realms. The Rakia, while dividing, also allows a measured flow between realms. Similarly, we strive to channel higher inspiration into daily life without losing our grounding in practical reality. So working with upper and lower waters. The waters can be seen as upper waters, which are our lofty insights, moments of divine connection, and transcendent experiences. And lower waters, our earthly emotions, day-to-day concerns, and bodily needs that yearn for spiritual elevation. So our mission, parallel to the cosmic drama, is to recognize the separation, but also to elevate and integrate. We do not blur all distinctions, yet we strive to ensure the lower waters are not cut off from the flow of blessing, letting a refined spiritually descend into the practical aspects of life. The ongoing nature of creation. The Zohar emphasizes that creation is not confined to a single historical moment, but is constantly renewed. Let there be a firmament is an ever-present process. Daily renewal. Each day, the cosmic order is re-established, with the divine decree setting boundaries and sustaining the realms. The soul's renewal. Within the human being, each morning's prayer and alignment with the divine will reaffirm the spiritual firmament that keeps life balanced between intellect and emotion, heaven and earth, aspiration and practicality. So we're gonna summarize the Zoharic themes in Genesis 1 verse 6. First, the second day, the day of division and Geburah. This day introduces a cosmic principle of restriction, ensuring creation does not collapse into undifferentiated unity. Second, we have Rakia as a sacred interface. The firmament is more than sky. It is a spiritual membrane that both separates and enables safe transmission of higher energies to lower realms. The upper and lower waters. These waters represent distinct spiritual and cosmic levels, one more sublime, the other more tangible, requiring a partition for harmonious existence. No Kitov, no it was good. The act of separation alone lacks completion. Only when these separated elements find their rightful balance and purpose, in subsequent verses, does goodness fully emerge. Human parallel. Each person navigates an inner firmament, dividing conflicting impulses and bridging the transcendent with the earthly. Spiritual discipline involves creating healthy partitions while still allowing divine flow to permeate and elevate the lower waters. Continuous creation, like all acts in Genesis 1, God's establishment of the firmament is ever renewed. We repeatedly experience the second day's drama, reasserting the boundaries that make spiritual growth possible. So for the Zohar, Genesis 1 verse 6 is both expansive and intimate. Cosmically, it reveals how the infinite, the Ein Sof, transitions from undifferentiated oneness to a structured universe. A process reliant on boundaries to channel divine light. Inwardly, it mirrors the soul's need to separate upper from lower, clarifying what belongs to spiritual aspiration versus what must be refined in the world of action. Although, quote and unquote, it was good, does not appear on this day. The Zohar reminds us that the second day's theme of separation is indispensable for the eventual harmony that emerges. Only through deliberate division can the cosmic blueprint unfold into the rich and orderly tapestry that we call existence. As the Zohar weaves it together, let there be a firmament resonates continuously, calling each of us to discern, organize, and eventually unify all aspects of our lives within the divine order. That's it for today. Thank you for your donation, and I will see you on the next episode. Be blessed. All the best.